My name is John Long. I'm a professional prop and model maker. I work in the film industry and television and commercials. Basically, I got my start because of my fascination with the gadgetry of Star Trek. So Star Trek really holds a very fond place in my heart. When I was a kid, they didn't have all those fancy gadgets that we saw Captain Kirk and his crew playing with or using to save the galaxy. So I was inspired to create my own, and that actually led later in life to a career in the movie industry. Eventually I had the opportunity of a lifetime to actually document and photograph and measure one of the only surviving original Hero phaser props. And I actually created an exact replica of that prop. This is actually created as a prototype for a plastic model kit, a licensed model kit that I'm hoping to do with the studio sometime soon. Some of the things that a lot of people don't realize the phasers did, the Hero version anyway, they had the rising sight that when activated via the thumb wheel, not only did the sight rotate up, but the emitter extends and illuminates. The idea behind the illuminating emitter was to allow for the post-production guys to key in on the point of origin for the beam that they needed to create with animation. It was, of course, incorporated into the pistol body, and upon doing so, you'll see that the emitter on the Phaser 2 extends with the placement of the Phaser 1. This also has a tip light, which is just a little period grain of wheat. And sometimes we actually saw the phaser pistol with the Phaser 1 in place and the sight up and both illuminated. To give you a little bit of perspective on what it's worth, a phaser much like this, which my friend Aureliano coined the term crapazoid for, which is absolutely fitting because it's basically a hollow plastic version of the phaser that, although it's pretty believable, from a distance for the camera, is very lightweight and can be attached to the costumes. And when it fell, nobody cared. One just like this sold in excess of $20,000 in auction. So of course the only working Hero, virtually priceless.
Captain, can you read me? I was beaming at Mr. 7 and something yanked him away from me.
Hello? Hello, come in.
Here,
Who are you?
Sergeant, it's operated from this dial here.
We're getting no response.
About a year and a half after documenting the Hero phaser, I was given the exact same opportunity with two original TOS communicator props. We photographed the daylights out of them and measured them and took tracings, everything. I then created exacting replicas of those existing communicator props. It's a prop that has been done, by many artists over the years, but most without the benefit of one of the originals as reference. So here we have an exacting replica of the original Hero communicator. And the difference between a Hero and a dummy prop is that the Hero did something. And in the case of the communicator, it actually has an animated moray. If you look closely, you'll see that that's actually spinning at quite a clip. There's a 30-second stopwatch that actually moves the moray pattern. And, very ingenious in the use of a stopwatch. They obviously didn't have small geared motors that would work completely independently in a handheld item like that. So Wah actually used a stopwatch to move the moray. Most of the communicator props did not have a stopwatch. It simply wasn't necessary. It's expensive and prone to break. Most of them were static props that were incredibly lightweight, and we see a number of variations, as with all the props in Star Trek. For example, some had the wavy line moray pattern. Others had the spider moray. In this case, this is basically a static version, the graphic, of the Hero, but it's just paper.
Your communicator.
You might be wondering what these pieces are. And this is an interesting little item I was commissioned to create for a licensee. And get it together in a little bit here for you. Starting to look familiar? This is the TOS phaser rifle that was only used in one episode, but certainly a very, very cool prop. And this started life as wood parts that I carved into the appropriate shapes and components. You then make molds off of the wood parts, and then presto, here's the finished item.
And watch him. Hang on to being a human for 1 minute longer.
I'm disappointed in you, Elizabeth.
When we were kids, all we had really was, you know, the Mego stuff, the oversized, colorful walkie-talkies and stuff that are great and are now fabulous collector's items. But it really had nothing that looked like what was actually used on the show. So I had gone to a few conventions and such, and saw that there was, you know, various artists that were creating pretty accurate replicas of the phasers and communicators and stuff. And that inspired me to actually try my hand at, you know, the more sophisticated stuff. And eventually was seen by the right people, and was actually given opportunities to do props in the film industry.
Two to beam up, Scotty. Live long and prosper.